Today, I want to talk about stakeholder management. Yes, stakeholder management. Globally, many projects, including policies, fail. And a question as to why it is so is posted at that link. More than 100 causes are identified. Stakeholder-related issues stand out. Now, sample this. Failure to identify and or engage the stakeholders. Failure to view project through stakeholder eyes results in a failure to appreciate how the project will impact the stakeholders or how they will react to the project. Imposing a project on stakeholders without their buy-in. Allowing one stakeholder group to dominate the project while ignoring the needs of other less vocal groups. Failure to include appropriate change management type activities into the scope of the project to ensure that stakeholders are able to transition from old ways of working to the new ways introduced in the project. Yes, these are some of the stakeholder-related issues that lead to failure of projects and even policies. Now, here are some Kenyan projects that may have fallen victim of lack of comprehensive stakeholder engagement and or management. Look at that. That is the Nyayo Pioneer car. This car did just one lap around Nyayo Stadium, and that was it. Now, a good stakeholder analysis would have shown that there was poor feasibility and even viability of the project. Here is a project that had political dominance, ignoring many other stakeholders, including experts. There is the Turkana fish processing plant. Look, the ruins of the failed NORAD fishing industry. These are not my pictures. They are in the public domain. And in 2012, a writer in the Standard said, when the local community is not consulted, donor cash could go to waste. He was talking about the failed Turkana project. That was way back in 2012. Yes, the Turkana people love herding. You can see, even kids, they are culturally, from a very early age, they are shown how to, so it's in their blood, culturally so. So what we're saying is that a comprehensive stakeholder analysis would have shown that in the Turkana culture, fishing is looked down upon, whereas owning cattle is a sign of prestige and wealth. Would a cattle-related project have had better results? That would have been best if stakeholders were involved. There we are. One laptop to every student project. Again, the Nation, 2019, just last year, says and writes how Uhuru's 24.6 billion laptops project collapsed. Well, here is a project where not enough stakeholder analysis was made. And again, the political stakeholders dominated the scene. One laptop for every student project. No comprehensive stakeholder analysis. The competency-based curriculum. When we get in the media, this is NTV, and they say words like, who the hell do you think you are? One stakeholder talking about other stakeholders. I am saying the dominance of one stakeholder can easily decelerate the speed of this very good project. If you ask me, yes, I am for CBC. But look, I'm saying a very good project that should be accelerated via more inclusive stakeholder analysis. They're there. These are the stakeholders. Stakeholder participation is important. Now, I'm asking, is the Building Bridges Initiative, the BBI, a project that requires stakeholder analysis? Well, but first, what's a project? A project, by definition, is a complex, non-routine, one-time effort limited by time, budget, resources, and a performance specification designed to meet customer needs. The major characteristics of a project: it has an established objective, it has a defined lifespan with a beginning and an end, it typically requires across the organizational participation, it involves doing something never been done before, and it has a specific time, cost, and the performance requirements. That's a project. Now, the BBI has an established objective. The BBI has a defined lifespan with a start and end. The BBI requires across the organizational participation. The BBI promises to do something never done before. The BBI has specific time, cost, and performance requirements. Therefore, the BBI qualifies to be a project. And therefore, stakeholder analysis and management, just like any other project, is important. But then, who is a project stakeholder? Talking of stakeholder analysis, stakeholder management, who is a stakeholder? Stakeholders. A stakeholder is any individual or group or organization who may affect or be affected by or perceived to be affected by a decision, an activity, or outcome of a project. The nature of the impact can be positive or negative, and therefore giving rise to the notion of positive and negative stakeholders. Irrespective of whether a stakeholder is positive or negative, it is important to engage with the stakeholders and get them involved in the project. For positive ones, we know how to move along with. For negative ones, we know how we can either convince them or cope with them or even block their negativity. This can make a critical difference to the success or failure of the project. We're talking of stakeholder management, stakeholder analysis. A single disgruntled stakeholder can bring the entire project to its knees, whereas an actively engaged and influential stakeholder can have the opposite effect. So those are stakeholders for you. Stakeholders can be either primary. The primary stakeholders are those whose livelihoods are directly affected by the core issue. They can be second stakeholders. Those are whose livelihoods are indirectly affected. And they can also be tertiary stakeholders. These are those who influence or have an interest in the issue. And I want to say here that every project has a cycle and a phase, a stage for stakeholder analysis. There we are, product life cycle, initiation, starting the project, planning, organizing, executing, and finally closure of the project. So that's the cycle. And stakeholder analysis is mainly, preferably done at the first stage, could even flow into the second stage. These are stakeholder analysis. Let's see. Stakeholder analysis is the process of understanding who has a vested interest in a change effort and working with them to ensure success. So these are different stakeholders. And these ones have to be identified and put on board at the initiation and the planning stage of a project, if the project has to succeed and succeed well. So we are saying policymakers use stakeholder analysis to identify key actors and assess their knowledge, interests, positions, alliances, and importance related to the project or even the policy. This allows policymakers to interact more effectively with the key stakeholders and to increase support for a given policy or program. My question is, has this been well done for the BBI? Yes, the BBI has a cycle. Just like we have seen that cycle, the BBI has also that cycle. Let's look at it. Initiation with the handshake. Then a team was put in place. And then there was the launch when the team made the report. And now the team is going around gathering views. And here we can see now the differences. Whereas some stakeholders are negative to the BBI, some other stakeholders are for the BBI. Therefore, not every stakeholder is on board. So one wonders, after this, what next? The closure. We are wondering, how will it be? And we are saying, where are other stakeholders? Where is Wanjiku? Where are the religious organizations? Where the private sector? Where the civil society? Where are students? Where are the farmers? Where are the educators? Where are the youth? These are all stakeholders. So, could we say that politicians have hijacked it? And therefore, what are we expecting if the entire stakeholder community, fraternity, is not involved? We have seen failed projects before. Look, there are very many, I will call them bulls, strong people. There are very many actors, influential people. Now, normally we say, when two bulls fight, it is the grass that suffers. But when all these bulls, in the name of politicians, fight, even the soil will suffer. So far, we have seen that the BBI is being driven by these people. You cannot see the other stakeholders here. And therefore, because there are more than two bulls fighting, it's not just the grass that suffers. The soil will also suffer. My take is that the successful BBI project, it will be a result of inclusive stakeholder participation. The primary stakeholders must participate. The second stakeholders must participate. The tertiary stakeholders must participate. The voters are here, they should participate. The Wanjikus are there, the youth are here, and other stakeholders must participate. Of course, the politicians must also participate. Politicians are here, they must participate. And others, like religious groups, have to participate. And I'm saying, success of BBI will depend on the participation of all those stakeholders. Short of that, we are going to produce the same document that we have been producing before. Good documents, not implementable, otherwise forced upon the primary stakeholder. And you know, when fear comes through the door, respect goes through the window. So forcing may not be fruitful. Now, if I've appetized you, you can start doing your own stakeholder analysis for any project that you want. All you'll do is you'll identify the categories for stakeholders, the primary stakeholders, the direct beneficiaries, like now for BBI, it could be Wanjiku. There'll be the second stakeholders, tertiary and other. And then you have to identify the interest of every category of stakeholders. In this case, Wanjiku for BBI, livelihood sustenance. And that interest is very high. Then you'll have to identify the stakeholder power in this project. For our primary, in this case, constitutional power. Very high, although the common person rarely exercises their constitutional power. Project and the policy impact on the stakeholder. You have to identify how will this impact on the stakeholder. Negatively, positively, and when you have done that, then you are now in a position to design strategies of engaging the stakeholder. Like I said, the positive stakeholders, how can they, cheer the progress of the project? Negative one, how can we either get their buy-in, cope with them, correct them, and all that? Because a project, change will always be resisted, however good. So it all depends on how change is introduced. I hope I have shed some light on stakeholder analysis. And I have used the BBI as a project. But I also used other projects that failed because of inadequate stakeholder analysis. Thank you. I hope you got interested.